Hello everyone, welcome to the session Programming for Problem Solving. Myself Navya, I'm an assistant professor from the Department of CSIT, Navya Institutions of Technology. In today's session, we are going to see the topic of repetition statements. Coming to the overview of the session, in the session, we are going to see what are repetition statements and types of loop control statements. What is while statement, what is counting loops using while statement, what is do while statement, as well as the first statement. Coming to the repetition statements, the word itself, repetition. Repetition is nothing but repeating the same thing again and again. So doing same actions again and again is known as a repetition statements or loop control statements. So the looping statements are used to execute a single statement or a block of statements repeatedly until the condition becomes false. So, until the condition becomes false, if the condition is true, it repeats. Until the condition is true, it repeats all the statements repeatedly. For example, in our real life examples, see what we are doing when we are having some food, right? First we will have some spoon of food, again we will repeat the same thing until and unless our plate gets empty or our tummy gets full. So similarly, doing the same. So the looping statements are used to execute a single statement such that it will repeat until the condition becomes false. Until the tummy is full, we will eat continuously. Similarly, until the condition is false, we will execute the statements. So coming to types of repetition statements, there are two types of repetition statements. One is entry control loops and one is exit control loop, or we can call it as pre-test loops. Entry control loops are also known as pre-test loops, whereas exit control loops are also known as post-test loops. In pre-test loops, we are having two loops again. One is for loop, one is while loop, and in post-test loop or exit control loop, we are having do while loop. So in detail, we are going to see all these three loops. First, coming to the while statement. So this was a small example. So a person is having some 10 coins. So he take one coin and he was asking to give one candy. Now how many coins are remaining? 9. So as it was tasty too, again he will take one more. Similarly, he has 8 coins and the same thing will repeat until now this person has no coins to buy the candies. So until and unless the kid who was having 10 coins, until the 10 coins he expend 1 coin by 1 coin. So after buying 10 candies, he will, as he does not have any coins, he will come out of that particular shop. So this is while statement. Coming to the while statement, whereas repetition statements, when it is a while statement, do while statement, or the first statement, what is the thing is, the task of these three loops will be same. So what is the task of these particular loops is repeat the statements until and unless the condition becomes false. Until once the condition becomes false, it will come out of the loop and it stops repeating the statements. So the same thing you will have for the while, do while and for loop, but with the small differences. Okay, the while statement is used to execute a single statement or block of statement repeatedly as long as the given condition is true. Once the condition becomes false, it will come out of the loop. So the while statement is also called as entry control loop statement or pre-test loop. So here, coming to the syntax, first while, condition, and you will have while, condition, followed by block of code. It might have one statement or any number of statements. Here, before this, you will have the concept called initialization, updation. Coming to this, what happens is initialization, whatever the condition you are giving, that has to be defined perfectly, and the initialization and updation part is also very important in this particular loop. So the statements outside the loop, you will have the initialization, while condition, the first while, if the condition is true, then it will execute this sort of statements, and then upgradation would happen, first statement, second statement, and if it is true. 3a. If it is false, it will come out of the loop. Okay. So if it is 3a is true or else false. So if the condition is true, it will execute the statement. Fourth statement is execution. Fifth statement is updation, and the sixth statement is whenever this block of code, ending of the block of code, ending flower brackets appears, the sixth statement again it will check for the condition. If the condition is true, again 3a or b will repeat, and all the statements will be executed. Once the condition becomes false, it will come out of the loop. Let us see a small example program of this. I just want to print 1 to 5 numbers here. I equals to 1. So this is initialization part. When it comes to the while loop, I less than or equals to 5 is my condition. Printf. I want to print 1 to 5 numbers, right? I plus plus. When I execute this, see here what happening. I have got the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as an output. How it has got? First, I value is 1. Initially, we have initialized the I value as 1. 1 less than or equals to 5. Condition true. It will print 1 value. I plus plus. I will become 2 now. Again, check for the condition. 2 less than or equals to 5. Condition true. Then it will print 2 value. Now, I will become 2. 2 less than or equals to 5. Condition true. First we are checking I less than or equals to 5. True. So which is 1. Next 2 less than or equals to 5. Condition true. So it will go inside. It will print value 2 and I value will become 3. Now again it will check for the condition. Now it will check 3 less than or equals to 5. Condition true. Now it will print value 3. Now I value will become 4 now. Now again it will check for 4 less than or equals to 5. Condition true. It will go inside and it will print 4 and next I value will become 5. Now again it will check for the condition 5 less than or equals to 5. Condition true. Now it will print 5 again. Now I value will become 6. Now it will check again for the condition 6 less than or equals to 5. Condition false, it will come out of this loop. What was the data you have printed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is how the while loop will work. So in this case, you might get asked for how many times this loop get run. So this loop has run for 5 times. See the count when you are printing this statement, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I value I less than or equals to n. If my 5 value as n, if I want to print some 10 numbers, if I want to print for some 6 numbers, like that. So when it comes to that particular statement, if 5 instead of 5, if you are giving the target value as some n. So how many times this statements will be executed is n times. When it comes to how many times this condition will get checked. So we are checking for the first time 1 less than, for checking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So which is n plus 1 times. So this is how we will use a loop control statement which is while. Now coming to the next, counting loops using while, which I said. So if I equals to 1, I less than or equals to same thing. Here I have taken abstain. So this is initialization. How you will count the loops? How many times these two statements will run is 10 times. How many times this condition will get checked is 11 times, which is n plus 1. I already said in the as of now. Next, coming to the while statement. So when we use the while statement, we must follow some points. So the first one is while is a keyword. So it must be used only in lowercase letters. If the condition contains a variable, it must assign a value before it is used. I equals to 1 we have taken, right? So instead, if we did not take I value as 1 now, so what happens? When I execute, it was taking as 0. So initially we have to initialize the values. Next, the value of the variable used in condition must be modified according to the requirement inside the while block. Okay, so the value of the variable used in that condition must be modified according to the requirement of the inside the block. Because if I don't write the I plus plus here, if I don't write I plus plus here, what happens? See, it will goes to the infinity loop. So for sure you have to update the variable which you are using in the condition. Okay, that was one point. And the next point is, in a while statement, the condition may be direct integer value, a variable, or a condition. So you can have in a while statement, you might have the condition. The condition might be the direct integer value or a variable or a condition. So a while statement can be an empty statement too. So it can be an empty statement also. Coming to the do while loop. Do while statement, it is same as while loop, but what was the difference? So in while loop, first we will check the condition and then execute the statements, but in the do while loop, first we will execute the statements and then condition to be checked. That's why we will call this as post test loop or exit control loop. Exit control, the name itself, exit control. At the execution time, at the exit statement, you are going to check the condition. So until and unless the condition becomes true, it will execute the statements. But if irrespective of the condition, the do while statement, do while loop will execute the statements at least once. Because first it was executing the statements, then it was checking the condition. That's why. So what was the thing? First you have to write do and set of statements, and next while condition, and no loops will have no loops or conditional statements like decision control statements. If we will switch like this, nothing will have the semicolon, but only do while will have the semicolon. As it was exit control loop, as it was exiting here, we are writing the semicolon here. So first it will first do, then it will execute the statements, then upgradation part, initialization to be happen before it sits, and then condition to be checked. If the condition is true, again it will execute the statements. If the condition becomes false, it will come out of the loop. This is what the do while statement. Let me give you a small example. So the same statement. Let us give you the same statement. Here without semicolon you will get the error. So the same statement. When I execute it, see here. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the same thing. First it will print the value 1. Then I will be incremented by 2. 2 less than 5, condition true. It will start with condition 2. 2 less than 5, condition true. Now again it will go, it will print 2 value and I will become 3. 3 less than 5, again it will go inside, it will print 3. I value will become 4. 4 less than or equals to 5, condition true. It will go inside, it will print 4 and 4 I will become 5. 5 less than or equals to 5, condition true. It will go inside, again it will print 5. I will become 6. 6 less than or equals to 5, condition false. It will come out of the loop. So in do while, how many times this loop will be executed is n times, which is 5. N times it will execute. How many times the condition will get checked is n times only. That was the difference. For the while loop, how many times the condition checked is n plus 1 times. How many times the statements will be executed is n. In the do while, how many times the condition checked is n and execution of the statements also n. So this was the basic difference and I already said you right. So if the condition becomes false, it will execute at least once. So I am taking I value 6. So 6 less than or equals to 5, the condition false. So when I execute it, see, the 6 has been printed. When it comes to the while loop, if I take the while loop for example, if in the case of while loop, when I execute, see, nothing get printed. So this was a basic difference between while loop and do while loop. Coming to the points you have to note down for the while writing the do while loop. First, both do and while are the keywords here. They must be used in a lowercase letters only. Okay, and if the condition contains a variable, it must assign a value before it is used. Initialization has to be happen before entering inside the loop. The value of a variable used in the condition must be modified according to the required inside to the block, which is nothing but the updation part has to be taken care of. And in a do while statement, the condition may be direct integer value, variable or a condition. In a do while statement can be a empty statement also you can have. In do while, the block of statements is executed at least once, whether irrespective of the condition, the condition might get false or true, it will execute at least once. Next, coming to the first statement, the for loop statement. First statement is also same as while loop. So, but what was the difference? For the while or do while loop, first initialization part has to be written separately, while condition, and you will execute statements as well as updation part will be there, right? When it comes here, the three statements will be in the same lane, like for loop, initialization will happen first, second condition, and next updation part. So each will divide separate with a semicolon. So the body of statements you have to write. So first it will initialize, then it will check condition. If the condition is true, it will execute these statements, and then it will go to the updation part. Then again it will check for the condition. So this is how it happens. Once the condition becomes false, it will come out of the loop. Let us see a small program, the same program here. Okay. So no need of this one also. So we can directly for the file, for I equals to 1, I less than or equals to 5, I plus plus. So I plus plus is also no needed because it had come in the same line, right? So when I execute this statement, see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how it has come? First, I value is 1, 1 less than 5, condition true, and it will print 1 value. Again, I will becomes updation next. I becomes 2, 2 less than or equals to 5, condition true. 2 has been printed. 3 less than or equals to 5, condition true. 3 has been printed. 4 less than or equals to 5, condition true, it has printed 4. 5 less than or equals to 5, condition true, it has printed 5. When it comes to 6 less than or equals to 6, 5, it condition false, it will come out of the loop. That's why we have printed up to 1 to 5. So, what was the thing you will have for, you will check for n plus 1 times, condition to be checked, the statements will execute n, same as while loop. So this is all about for loop and some key points. For is a keyword, so it has to be used in lowercase letters only, and every for statement must be provided with initialization, condition and modification, which is nothing but updation. So you have to separate it with semicolon. And for this is also okay for empty, as well as if you leave the initialization part, this is also okay and this is also okay. In first statement, the condition might be a direct integer value or variable or a condition, and it can be an empty statement also. And if I want to write two initialization statements in one for loop, I can write for I equals to 1 comma j equals to 2, and conditions also I less than n, upgradation also I plus plus comma j plus plus. It has three parts. First one is initialization part. In initialization part, if I want to initialize more than one variable, then I can use comma operator. Similarly for the upgradation also, there is no option for condition. Remember it. So these are the things we have learned in the C. So what in today's session, what you have learned is, first is a repetition statement. What is mean by the repetition statements? Repeating the same statements for number of times is known as repetition statements. We also call it as loops. So two types of loops are there. One is entry control loops. One is exit control. When it comes to entry control loops, again that was divided into two. One is while loop. Then second one is for loop. One exit control loop is do while. So what was the task of these three is to repeat the statements. So coming to the while loop. While loop, once until the condition is true, it will execute the statement. Once the condition becomes false, it will come out of the loop. So this was the syntax for while loop. When it comes to the do while loop, do statements, updation, and we'll have the while condition. Should not forget the semicolon for the do while loop. This is the do while loop. Do while loop is also the same. It will execute the statements until and unless the condition is true. Once the condition becomes false, it will come out of the loop. And you have to take care of initialization as well as updation and condition also. Make sure it should be correct. And next, for loop, and difference between for while and do while means for and do while is same. But what was the difference? Do while is irrespective of the condition, whether the condition becomes false or true, it will execute at least once. So initialization, condition and updation. So in the for loop, you will have the three statements together. When it comes to this particular counting loops, how you are going to counting the loops? So how many times the statements will be executed is n plus 1 times, and how many times the condition will check this? Sorry, how many times the statements will execute is n times, and this one n plus 1 times. And when coming to this n times, the statements will be executed and the condition will check for n times only. Similarly, this is same as while loop. Condition will be checked for n plus 1 times. Statements will execute for n times. So this is what the while loop, do while loop and for loop, which is repetition statements, in which we have seen in this session. Thank you everyone.